Hey, it's Ken here from OKportugal, and today we have a special midweek property video for you. Now I just want to say thank you and shout out to Cheryl and Chris from England who commissioned us to make this video for them. They've been looking at photographs of this property online and they were really interested in it, and so they asked us if we could create a virtual tour video for them, a nice in-depth tour. So we headed on across there with our cameras and we basically filmed this video for them. Now, we aren't agents, we don't sell properties, we don't make commission from the sale of these properties. So we give unbiased, in-depth reviews. We point out all the good stuff and all of the bad stuff. Now, if you like the look of this property and you'd like to buy it, please can you contact the estate agents. We're going to put their details in the description just below this video. And if you'd like to hire us to create a virtual tour for you, then yeah, have a look in the description. We're going to put our email in there. Anyway, hope you enjoy the video. Hi Cheryl, hi Chris, it's Ken and Gina here from OKportugal, and we are just driving on our way to go and film your property. Now we've just pulled up in the village of Sesmo. You can see we've got like a really big mountain in front of us here, and I'm guessing the river beach is going to be down in this valley area. And it's not a very big village, judging by what I saw on Google Maps. But yeah, you can see we've got some nice old character buildings here built out of granite and schist. Okay, so coming up just in front here where this big willow tree is, there's a bar.
River beach.
And now we're at the Praia Fluvial de Sesmo, so the Sesmo River Beach. So I decided to get out the car and have a look at this river beach first off. Now the piece of land you've asked us to film is just over here. You're within 200 meters of the water of the river beach. And this is the River, or it's a tributary of the River that's been dammed up over here, which gives you a nice swimming area. There's a bathing platform. There's the shade of a beautiful willow tree that looks enormous. It's probably 25 meters high or something. It looks massive. And just in the background over here, there's a little bar by the river beach. So you've got toilet facilities. You've got a place where you can buy drinks. I'm not sure if they have snacks or anything like that, but potentially they do. And there is also disabled friendly access, so there's ramps and things to get down, to the water side. There's also a little child's playground just over here. I can imagine that in the full summer heat, this is going to be an absolutely stunning area to come. And you can sit in the shade, you can have a nice refreshing swim. So from the river beach, we've got 200 meters until we get to where the property starts. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of information on the area. So we are near a small village called Sesmo, which is just in the background here. And it's in the Castelo Branco district. So it's in the extreme west of the Castelo Branco district. We're 10 minutes away from a place called Aldeia do Gisto, which are the schist villages of Terraces. And so that's another big sort of village close by. Castelo Branco is 30 minutes away. So not too far. Lisbon Airport 2 hours 15, Porto Airport is 2 hours 40, and Faro Airport is 4 hours 15. So you can get to all of the major airports within a couple of hours pretty much. The local village of Sesmo has a small bar and a hotel. So I've shown you the bar. The hotel is showing up on Google Maps, but I think it's probably a very small one, just like a B&B or something like that. And yeah, of course you've got this beautiful Sesmo River Beach just in the background. So from the bottom of where the river beach is, you come up with this sort of schist road, this dirt road. There's a couple of buildings on the side here. Looks like they're actually renovating this one a bit. And then this over here, this is your driveway. And that is the beginning of your property and stretching down towards the river. I'm standing on a public track here, which is, it's like a dirt track, and as you can see the agent's got their car parked over here. And the agent's over here. This is Antonio from Ling. And yeah, I just wanted to give you a little breakdown on the place. So the property itself, which sort of extends behind me here, is a size of 2,760 square meters. So it's around 3/4 of an acre. And the actual map of the property, it's almost like the letter H. Now please excuse the quality here, because this is a photograph that I took of the estate agent's mobile phone screen. Now this is a map that he drew on Google Maps. Now it's not exactly the letter H, it's kind of more like the letter J. And we are standing at this point. I'm going to mark it up on the screen. Now I'm going to mark the section where the neighbor lives. So that's going to be their plot. So it's kind of a strange piece of land. You've got this, you know, the shape that goes around the neighbor's land. You've got this road, obviously, that we're standing on, and that's a public road, so people can walk across there. And then to the very right hand side of the screen, where all the trees are and everything, that's where the river flows along the property. So there's quite a lot of river frontage. Now there are cork oaks, fruit and olive trees, as well as grapevines, and the asking price for this property is €12,500. Now the access is pretty good. I mean, there is you know, there is like a dirt track. Some areas of it are quite steep, but you could definitely get here with a regular car. You don't actually need a 4x4. The property itself is totally off-grid, so there's no mains, electricity or water, but around 200 meters away you have Sesmo, which is a little village. There's a river beach, and so you know, you're going to be able to connect to things like water or electricity, but that will come at an extra cost. Okay, so this is the first bit of the property. Now here is the track. This is a public road, and this runs to a neighbouring property which is just over there. And this is the first bit of the property, so it runs in the shape of an H. So it comes out here and then it goes down towards the river on that side and then back up again. And the part in the middle belongs to a neighbour. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk along this border and we're going to show you this part. So this is like the main sort of field area, and as you can see it is full of schist. So this over here is just full of rock, or schist rock. It's going to have good drainage, but we are on a little bit of a slope. But in terms of the actual property and its layout, this higher up area, higher away from the river, is probably the place where you would want to put a structure. So we're going to walk through the centre and to the very limit on the edge here. And fortunately there's some shade there, because it is quite hot. Even now in autumn it's actually still quite hot walking around on these slopes. We've got some lovely little sort of like bushes, and very fine ornamental type bushes. I saw some lavender earlier on. I think there's a little bit of it here. And yeah, lots of nice little shrubs and things. Okay, so this is also where the property extends. So it goes through here. Just to orientate ourselves, there's a bit of a slope here, or like a bit of a wall. So there's a wall and then this terrace. So this whole terrace belongs to the property. This wall is the limit. And this wall extends back to about there. And we're going to walk through now and get some shade. There's some beautiful little flowers on this one. Look at that. That is so stunning. So now we can see the wall itself is over here where my finger is, and then running all the way back. So this is the limit of the property, taking us up into this corner. Now it is quite steep here. We're on a big slope, but the access for walking, like the actual path, is pretty good. But I don't think that you'd be able to put any structures on here unless you built a deck. We've got some cork oaks here. As you can see, that these have been recently ringed, well, not ringed, they have been recently harvested. So all the cork's gone off those. And this is the limit of the property. So here, where you can see this little wall, so that's the limit, stretching all the way back in a straight line to where we came from. And that whole terrace down there coming out to here is all part of the property. And it goes down to roughly where this tree in the corner is, and this tree is over here. and then it works its way back and joins up with that terrace from where we came. Now there is something over here which is really beautiful. There's a waterfall. It's like a little dammed up section. So I definitely think that up here this is one of the best places of the property. I say one of them because the other one is definitely down by that river. But up here it's very cool. You've got the shade of the trees. You've got some beautiful views. And the only downside is it's on like a really big slope. There is no terrace cut into this. And so if you were going to put a structure up here, you would need to put it on stilts. But this is a really pretty spot. Okay, so let's head on now back from where we came, and then I can show you the other terraces. So we're going to cross back on the exact same terrace where we came. From here you can start to see some of the structure of the neighbour's property. So because we're in like an H shape, or like a U shape, going around their property, they're sort of in the middle. There's two caravans there, this kind of shelter roofing structure, and a greenhouse by the looks of it. I don't know if they live there permanently or what the story is. But speaking of which, this land over here, this is this is not urban land, so you won't get planning permission to build a house here. If you want a house, you need to build it within an urban area or have land that's marked as urban, and this land is going to be marked as rustic. So what that means is that you can have agricultural support buildings, and you can put structures that aren't permanent, so they're not permanently stuck into the ground with cement and stuff like that. But you should seek legal advice if you are going to, if you intend on living in those structures, because I believe you'll need a habitation license. So definitely, if you are interested in buying a piece of land like this and you want to put up something like a yurt or a caravan, then speak to a solicitor, get them to check out what your opportunities and options are. Okay, so this is, as you can see, it's almost like Mars. It's got these beautiful orange rocks. It's going to be very well drained, and this is also not as sloped. I mean, there is still quite a degree of slope from the top of the hill down, but again, you could build something with stilts, perhaps. And now we work our way down onto the middle terrace. So this road that runs past the property from this end all the way down here is a public track, so anyone legally can use that, but it services this neighbour's property. And you can see it a little bit better here. We can get a closer view of how they built a fence going all the way down, and they fenced themselves in, so you can kind of see where the perimeter is. And then we have a lot more trees, a lot more olives. So yeah, you're going to have a lot of work for you in November, but you're going to have a lot of olive oil for the whole year, for all your friends, family. You can even sell it. Look at all of those. Incredible, this is a lot. Huh. And I just spotted as well, when we were walking earlier, there's a Nishpeda, which is also called a loquat. So just to orientate you again, where the neighbours are, that's their land, in that square over there. And your land extends down here and towards the river. The olive trees are in relatively good shape. It looks like they haven't been sort of pruned in about, 2-3 years, but they look relatively well looked after, and they've got so much fruit on them. So we can see that the soil here is starting to look a lot better. It's not as rocky. It doesn't sort of resemble the Mars anymore. There's a lot more organic matter and actual sort of sand and mud in it. So potentially this is going to be an area where you could plant some stuff. And then we go on to the third and last terrace. And this one over here is almost like very wet, very green. So we've got some vines extending along here. If you can see from the topographic map, the property is almost like this shape, where it's long over here, short going up to the top terrace, and then across again, almost like a U or an H shape. So these vines are part of the property. We're all nice and green and wet here. Potentially in winter you might find quite a bit of water here from the river, so I wouldn't think that this would be a good place for building or anything like that. But you know, you do have those higher places. This over here is a quince. It almost resembles like a fairy apple, and they use these in marmalade. And yeah, let's have a walk through this terrace now. So this takes us all the way down to where the river is. Just get through the brambles. So this river is a tributary of the OKportugal River, which is one of the main rivers in Portugal. And you can see it's very clean water and very beautiful. I actually think I just saw a little fish doing something on the surface of the water there. And this is the river that runs past all the way to the Sesmo river beach. So you technically have your own little river beach down here with this property. And there's a lovely little section through there, which I'm not sure if this camera is picking up, but it's a flat shale beach. So I'd say that that's definitely like the main attraction of this whole property, is that river. That's really, really beautiful. Now I'm going to try and see the agents going down to where there's a little shale section, and that's like a beautiful little river beach for yourself where you could go. Now one thing to notice about Portugal and its sort of land laws is that any river is public. So you know, fishermen and stuff are allowed to go, I believe it's within 10 meters of the water's edge, and so they actually do have access there. So you know, it's not private, even though your land does border with it. But because there's a river beach just up here, I can't imagine there's going to be too many people. So I'm just about to follow the estate agent through this little jungle section, but I just wanted to point out that this is now the limit, the top of this terrace. The land behind here belongs to the neighbour. So the neighbour's planted a whole bunch of fruit trees and things, and where there's like a little wall over here, that denotes the boundary. You can see there's more vines and things here. There's more of these quinces, but this all falls in your piece of land, so these would be yours. And where this sort of wall is, this is what denotes the terrace, or the separation between your terrace stepping up to where the neighbour's land is, and then above that it steps up again to your top terrace. So it's a bit of a strange layout. And then looking in this direction, you've got the mountains and the river. So let's go down there quickly. Antonio, the estate agent, he's down there at the moment. There's a whole bunch of bamboo here. Now you do have to watch out for bamboo because it does grow completely mad. It just goes crazy, and you actually have to dig it out because eventually this will just take over. But it does look quite pretty. So let's just go through this area. And so the access to get down here is a little bit tricky, but just excuse me while I try and not fall over. Oh, there you go, my shoe's just fallen off. Bear with me for 1 sec. All right, shoes back on. Let's do this. So here's Antonio. And yeah, and look at this river. It's amazing. You can see the water, or the sun, filtering through the water here. And beautiful. Now at the moment it's not very deep, but we are at the end of a very hot summer, and now it's autumn. But you can see the banks of this river go up quite high, and I imagine that in winter this whole thing probably floods. But in the summertime you've got this lovely sort of pebble beach where you can come, you can sit, and you can put chairs and stuff. And in the very distance over there is that little waterfall, the one that we saw from the top terrace. So this is a very special piece of land here. So from where I stepped down there, that's kind of the boundary of the land, and your property goes back in this direction. So let's just walk down here along the riverbank so you can see. Now bearing in mind that in winter, if you come and visit, where we're walking now, we'll be in the water, so this will only be like a summer, autumn thing that you can really get down here. Oh, and I just saw a fish. It almost looked like a little trout or something swimming, but quite a small one. Oh, lovely. And I think this is Look, we're coming up to where the edge of your bottom terrace is. So this is the edge here, and running straight up you got this bottom terrace running down to where Antonio is and back up again. Beautiful. And here is a little frog. Look at that. So let's just discuss a few things. 4G internet access. There is no 4G signal here. Now that is on Mio. I believe the estate agent also doesn't have access, but they can make phone calls. So you will have to check, but it's not looking good for that. The sun orientation. So I'm going to put over a picture of the topographic map, and I'm going to show you exactly which direction north is, and which way the sun goes across the land. So the sun sort of, it rises from the river side of the land and then sets on the opposite side of the land, so it goes across. So that brings us to the end of this video, but before I go, I just want to give you my thoughts on the place. You know, if it was a square or a rectangular piece of land that had the possibility to build, had possibility for habitation, and also had a water source, then I would say that this piece of land is perfect. But then we do have to bear in mind that the price is only 12,500 euros. Some people might say that 12,500 is a lot of money for a piece of land in central Portugal without, you know, those things. But prices have been going up a lot over the last 2 years. And, you know, for me, having a neighbor kind of right in the center of where your piece of land is and the shape of the land, which is almost like the letter H, it's quite an odd shape. There's no sort of definitive boundaries and fences and things like that. And that could also be a problem. You know, you do hear stories of people buying land and then neighbors suddenly moving fence posts and things like that. So I'd be a little bit concerned about that, as well as the fact that there's no 4G internet access. There's no electricity, there's no water. Things like that cost a lot of money to hook up. And if you were going to spend the money to get those connected here, then you might be better off looking at a piece of land that already has those, that costs a little bit extra. Location-wise, really beautiful. You know, you're right by the river beach. It's got a lovely little bar. I did enjoy having a drink there. Everyone was super friendly in the village, and it's really peaceful and quiet around here. So, you know, all of those boxes are ticked. It's also really beautiful. You know, having that river is just an amazing thing to have. But then again, it's not your river. Your land is on a boundary with the river, but the water itself is not owned by you. And so people like fishermen have got access to that all year round. They're allowed to walk, you know, through your property to access that river. I believe they're allowed to go 10 meters from the bank of the river into your property. Yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Hopefully you've learned something from this video. And, you know, send us an email if you've got any other questions, anything that we might have missed or anything that you wanted us to, you know, just wanted to ask us. And if you have any other properties that you'd like us to film for you, just let us know and we'll do them, no problem. Anyway, I've got to run now, and I hope you enjoyed it. See you again next time. Cheers.